Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, want to build true wealth? Well, you're going to want to avoid these common mistakes that a lot of entrepreneurs make. Stay tuned. Let's get this one started. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life. Prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Bros. Get ready to meet a powerhouse entrepreneur who's turned adversity into his greatest asset. He's built his business through grit, resilience, and a deep understanding of financial strategy, helping other entrepreneurs grow real, lasting wealth. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Elliot Kallen. Elliot, now we can get this party started. Welcome to the program.
Great to be here. Thank you.
All right. As excited as we are to get started, it's probably more exciting to set ourselves up financially. And I know every entrepreneur goes through adversities of their own. Some make it through by pushing and never quitting. Others kind of fall off. What was your story? Tell me a little bit about how you got here. What adversities did you have to overcome?
Well, this is businesses 3, 4, and 5 that I've started here. So I've been... people become entrepreneurs for lots of reasons in their life. Sometimes it's because they're not employable. Sometimes they're the smartest person, the engineer. Sometimes they're very salesy and they want to do something on their own and no other options. For me, I learned in my 20s that maybe I'm not the most employable guy out there, but I'm a driver. And so I wanted to start that. I started the packaging business, sold that, started the environmental cleanup business, sold that, and then got into the finance business, and I started 2 companies in there now, the third company being a charity-based, a foundation type of entity. I love the idea of starting. I love the idea of helping people. I love the idea of helping people put away money for something they never thought they would need it for, which is retirement or somewhere down the road. And we've had an impact having people have very successful retirements because we made a difference in their lives.
Success isn't always the thing that ends up happening when you start a business. There's always some sort of setbacks that end up happening. It's like it's like, to me, like buying a lottery ticket. You go to 7-Eleven or whatever, you get a lottery ticket, and then you start dreaming about all the things that you're going to buy with this lottery winnings that you're going to have. And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs start off that way, and then at some point they fall off. They don't continue. They can't make it. There's always those adversities. Can you kind of share one of those times where you had maybe a setback through one of the businesses that you built and how you pushed through or how it made you get to the point where you can level up?
That's a great question because I wrote a book over my left shoulder called Driven with my name on there, all about adversity. Some people and a handful of people have a straight line in life. It looks like this. They're Mark Zuckerberg. They started Facebook in college and 6 years later, they're a billionaire, but most people don't have that. They're like me. They start, they stop, they go backwards, they go forwards, they go behind the scenes. In my first business, I feel like I was forced to sell, but I sold the company because I was growing so quickly, I ran out of cash. I was too young to understand the burn rate of cash. Something they talk about in MBA school all the time now, but the average entrepreneur never heard of it. The burn rate. What does that mean? I'm growing so quickly, 30%. How could I possibly run out of money? And that was my lesson in the first business. And, by the time I hit business number 3, I had other lessons under my belt, but I've been a firm believer that you're going to get a bloody nose a lot. Yeah. You're going to get knocked down, and not to use the Rocky movies as some sage advice, but, in one of the movies, Rocky, I think, tells his son, it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up.
Yep.
So perseverance, fortitude, vision, these are words you have to not just live by, you have to inculcate into who your very being, because you're going to have family members tell you to give up. People with well-meaning are going to say, stop, you need a job, or maybe you're just wrong. Maybe there's no market for you. But if you know you're doing something right and you're pushing forward and you can adjust on the fly, because that does have to happen, then you're going to come out with something good. But don't give up. Just understand the phases you're going through. Phase number 1 is getting started. Phase number 2 is I've got something that's really worth doing. And phase number 3 is, okay, what's my next step in life and how am I going to unwind what I already done? But you got to get through phase 1, and that's painful.
It is. The solopreneur route is oftentimes a very lonely route for exactly the same reason what you discussed. Oftentimes, an entrepreneur has a great idea and they go home and they tell that loved one they love the most, hey, I got this great idea. And that loved one, out of love, by the way, not because they're trying to be spiteful or hateful or anything, but out of love, they'll knock down your idea because it's uncomfortable to them. Maybe they don't clearly see the vision that you have in your mind. You can't maybe explain it, or it's not something that they can clearly see, so they knock it down. And that's just the first step before you even actually implemented any of the plans. And then along the way, you're making decisions, you're grinding when everybody else is sleeping, you're working on your projects, and all of a sudden you're missing family functions, you're missing this, and you're focused on what you want to do. And even though you're doing all this work, you're not having all that success right up front. There's these long stretches of struggle and hard work before oftentimes entrepreneurs make it. A lot of them just kind of want to escape. How do you help, or what would you say to somebody who's in that situation to keep that mental game strong, to keep going when everything seems to be pointing in the other direction?
Well, that's another great question. And that is, what can you do as an entrepreneur? What can you do as a person to get rid of that negative energy that's surrounding you so you can focus on the positive? For me, it was playing ice hockey. I did a lot of it. I'm a goalie by training. And so I would get in the net and I'd say, go ahead, hit me. And I want them to hit me with the puck. And I was padded. So in some places they hit me where it wasn't any padded. But I would say, hit me with that. And then I'd go play racquetball the next day. And just to burn out, I wanted to leave all my negative energy either on the ice or on a racquetball court because I didn't want to bring it home. Because I knew that at 2 a.m. it would come back and eat me up. So you as an entrepreneur have to find out what your negative energy, plug is, that you can get rid of it and move forward. Because again, you are going to get hit with more negative than positive. And if you don't stay focused and you're not willing to get back off that mat, it will eat you up. And so some people, it takes 5 years to have an overnight success. Some people, it takes 30 to have an overnight success. You always hear the story about Colonel Sanders. He didn't make it big until he was 67 or 70. It took a long time, and he went bankrupt several times.
Yeah.
Abe Lincoln went bankrupt. Harry Truman went bankrupt in his business. These people lose things, but they're not willing to stop doing it. And the key to success is that perseverance and vision. And if you get those two things together, you're going to get good outcome. But if you get derailed because your kids are young and somebody's telling you can't do this, you've got young kids at home, or you can't do this, you've got kids that go to college, or you can't do this because you're already working 2 jobs. There are a lot of reasons you can't do things. Matter of fact, there are probably 10 reasons you shouldn't do something for every reason you should. But you got to bounce that off. You got to stick out that chest, stick out your pecs, and say, go ahead, hit me with your best shot, because I am willing to move forward tomorrow and accept this pain for the better results that I know I can get.
How do you work that resilience muscle? It's not something that you kind of want to work out, right? Like it's not the fun part of that job, but that resilience has got to work forward. I heard someone say once, I don't remember exactly who it was, but they were saying that struggle that you're going through, think of it, you mentioned Rocky, think of it as that montage where Rocky's training, and that's where you're at currently. You're not in the ring yet. You're not the number one contender, but you're training and you're getting yourself focused and you're getting yourself developed and you're building all that foundational work for you to have that overnight success, right? Rocky was an overnight success. You just didn't see all the work in the years that he put into boxing prior to that. And so how do you work that muscle? How do you build resilience in a way that isn't draining?
So what I did, and I can't speak for everybody, but what I did is I would buy tapes and I would buy books from motivational speakers. And Brian Tracy, Anthony Robbins, Zig Ziglar. There are a lot of them out there. You're going to not run out. My book. There are a lot of really good books, and today they're downloads that you can get. Nobody's reading anymore. But I've gone from the books to the cassettes to the 8-tracks, the reel to reel. I mean, I've been through all that. But basically, you need motivation. And don't be surprised, because I'm one of those people that needed and loved external motivation. I did with Anthony Robbins, the Walk on Fire in Hawaii with him. And that made a big difference, because those 40 or 80 feet of hot coals had to represent something. And I never forgot that I did that. And they did represent something. And I finished those, and I've just never forgot that. And they represent something for everybody: fear of failure and fear of success. Your fear of success is actually greater than most people's fear of failure.
Yes,
But either one of those could be a driver. A fear of failure could be, I don't want to fail. I am not going to let myself fail. And that's a driver. Other ones is I'm afraid of success because I might lose something along the way. What if I lose my marriage? What if I lose my friends? What if I lose my kids? You've got to find a way to get over that, and don't let that happen. Don't let your marriage fall apart because you're working hard. Don't lose your kids, because then the price is too high for success on both those things. But sometimes that does happen. You've got to be the driver, and you've got to create an outcome that will work in your world.
I feel like because of our education system, the way it's built and constructed, failure gets kind of a bad rap. We're trained not to fail, but in real life, that really is the only way you're going to learn something. Whether it's on, whether you're in sales and you're working on your sales pitch, it's not going to be good the first time, but as you work on it, it'll get better and better. A marketing campaign, you put out a marketing campaign, it's going to flop. The market's going to give you feedback. You're going to adjust. It's going to continue to get better. Failure is part of the process. It's how we learn, but it does get a bad rap. What's your perspective on failure, as far as, how's it changed for you over the years, and how's it helped you kind of grow as an entrepreneur, as a business owner?
So let's change that word failure if we can. Let's change it to entrepreneurs never fail. They just learn valuable and expensive learning lessons.
Expensive sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. And so instead of, I look at my failures, and I've got plenty of them. I can give you lots of lists. I'm divorced, and I have a child who took his own life. I've got plenty of failures in there. But I view them as valuable lessons. Losing my child is a failure. I don't care what you say, but business-wise, thank you. Business-wise, it's been valuable learning lessons and drivers for me. And I don't forget them, but I also don't want to dwell on them. I want to learn from them. I want to grow from them. I want to build upon them. So I look at every single one of those is, how do I get better tomorrow than I was yesterday? And I actually come to work every morning thinking, what can I do better today than I did yesterday? And those are drivers for me. Find out what drives you and make the best of it. You can't be me. I can't be you, but you can be the best of both of us.
And that's so true, to be able to just get a little bit better every day. It doesn't have to be, 100%. It's kind of like working out at the gym. I think it's funny because I've been at it for quite some time now, and I'm seeing results. 5 years down the road, I'm seeing some fantastic results. But 5 years down the road, like and I realize there is no one workout. You're not going to go to the gym one time and have this intense workout and have the result that you're looking for. It's consistency over and over time, doing the same thing, getting the results, logging it, tracking it, improving upon it just a little bit better every single day. That's what over time is going to give you those compounded results that we're looking for. You've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs, and you've helped them, build wealth. But I'm sure they've made a lot of mistakes along the way. What would you say is probably the most common mistake you see entrepreneurs make when it comes to building their wealth?
So a great mistake that entrepreneurs make is they don't hire to the people that can help them with their weaknesses. That's something you have to understand, what you're really good at and what you're not very good at. For instance, even though I have an accounting background, I hate doing the math of accounting. It's something I just hate doing. So in my first business, I did not understand that, and I did not hire somebody to help me with the accounting properly and hit me in the head with the 2x4 to understanding the math, the cash burn, and things like that. Today, I understand that so much better, because now I know that the people that are better than me are the people I want to hire. I want to hire people that with better brains than me and better acumen and better understanding of stuff that I'm good at. For instance, at my age, I'm not going to be the best guy with AI. I'm almost too old to do that now. I hate to say that. So I want to hire the best minds of AI to help build what I need to build with my business. I want to hire better marketing people than me, and I'm pretty good with marketing. I want to hire a CFO to manage my inside, my math, to make sure that I'm not overlooking something. Those are things you understand with time. You can only be good at one or two things. You could be average at hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Do what you do really well and hire the rest.
I know what that pain is like. My degree is in accounting as well, and I understand the frustration of actually doing the book work if it's your company. But yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, I might have a degree in accounting. Doesn't mean I'm in those books every single day. Doesn't mean that's my that's my. It might be my credential, but it doesn't mean that that's where I guess my A+, my 10 out of 10 shows up. It's other aspects that I really enjoy doing. And I can, but knowing that, by the way, knowing that skill means I can hire somebody and then take a look at the work they're doing and then qualify those people as well. Like, maybe the CFO or fractional CFO isn't as good as I want. I'm going to go in this direction, whatever it is. So you take the expertise, but it doesn't mean that you have to be the expert in your business doing that specific thing. I love how you laid that out. So let's talk a little bit about financial planning, because we're in business to make money. And we start to earn a little bit, but we don't always put money away for ourselves. Why do you think so many entrepreneurs kind of overlook that financial planning aspect of it? And what do you think is the first step they should take to get back on track?
So I heard in my 20s, and I really didn't understand that always pay yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't understand that because I thought, well, I'm the entrepreneur. I pay all my bills first, PG, utilities, employees, rent, and then you get the dribbles at the end. And that's how I always ran my life, for the most part, until I was already past 40 when I began to understand it. Hey, wait a second. What's left for me at the end of the day? I'm killing myself for everybody but me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a maturity thing for me to finally understand that. So if you're an entrepreneur, you need to figure out, what do you need to make money for you and your family? Because you can't work for everybody else, but only you can figure that out. There is a number that you have to go beyond to make that. So maybe you need $1 million in revenue before you can make any money. Maybe you need 5 million. Are these realistic that you can hit these goals? If I want to make $250,000 a year, I can't do that if I don't make at least 4 million in sales. If that's the number, then that should be your first goal, is I need 4 million in sales. If my goal is 250,000 a year. If your goal is to make $1 million a year, then maybe you need to do 10 to $15 million a year in sales. Understand what your goal is, and then backdoor where you need to be to do that. And write this in a shower, write it on your computer, whatever it is. I need $10 million of sales by this date. And look at it every morning in the shower.
I love how you brought up that pay yourself first thing, because I read that in a Robert Kiyosaki book when I was 19 years old. And I'm in my mid 40s now. But back then I thought, like you, I was paying myself first. I didn't realize that, paying myself first doesn't mean buying myself a nice pair of shoes or buying myself a car or buying my, wife a nice purse or something like that. All those things are great that you're able to do, but that's not paying yourself first. Just so people kind of understand, so they don't figure it out when they're in their 40s, hopefully not. Explain what you actually realized what that pay yourself first meant.
Well, for me, outside of a year like 2008, in 2001, where it felt like I wasn't getting paid at all because we were in a recession, is that, what am I worth? I figured, this is what I am worth in the marketplace. And let's just make that up. I'm worth $250,000 a year, as an example. So I worked it out backwards. This is what I need to bring home, is $250,000, 400, 500, whatever the number is. Then I backdoored what is the revenue that I need to produce to do that. And so every day when I went to work and I had a laminated sheet of my personal goals, it said how many people I need to call on, what kind of business do I need to do monthly, how does that interpret down to weekly, in order to hit that goal. And I looked at it every day. Then I laminated and put it in my shower. Then I put it above my toilet bowl. So it's that, and I put it next to my bed. So I was seeing this all the time, over and over. And then when I felt like when I wasn't living up to my own standards, which is human, it's like, I'm trying to lose weight, but here I am eating a candy bar. I'm only human. Then that goal, a laminated goal, would remind me, get back on track. Get back on track. Kind of like weighing yourself and realize, well, wait a second. I want it to be 200. How did I get to 210? That's the same thing.
I like that. I put my goals on my lock screen on my phone. So every time I look at my phone, boom, there they are right there staring at me. So I can remind myself, whatever you're doing, is it one of these four things? Is it one of these four directions that you're taking your life? And if it is, good. If it's not, you better rethink that situation you're going into. You help a lot of clients align their long-term financial goals with their day-to-day chaos of running their business. How do you help them do that?
Well, mostly we begin to talk. It starts with good, honest conversation with people. And I ask them, as I would ask you, what are your long-term goals? And I want to know what's going on with your business. What are your long-term goals? Then I want to talk about what are your long-term financial goals. And I want to learn. You've got a wife, you've got kids, or a partner and kids, whatever you have. So what are your goals for them financially? You can't put it all together. Well, I want to have college paid for. Great. Do you want to pay for all of it, or do you want them to pay for part of it? Well, I'll pay for all of it. I think my father did that for me. I'm going to do that for my kids. Okay. If that's our goal, then how much money do we need? Are they going to go to Cal State Hayward, or are they going to go to Harvard, or somewhere in between those two? Because if they're going to go to Harvard, it's $80,000 a year. If you're going to go to Cal State, it's $27,000 a year, or Nebraska, wherever. Let's talk about that. And then how much do you need at some point in your life? Because I have to tell you, when you're 40, it's really hard to think what life is like at 65. But when you're 60 and you didn't think about what life might look like at 65, you're going to need to work till 80. So we really need to hone in on your financial goals and then work backwards to reach them. And that's the key that I've done, is discovering goals. Most people don't have financial goals. They have goals, but they don't have financial goals. Or they just pie in the sky. I want $2 million when I'm 65 in the bank. Okay, how do you get to that? I have no idea.
Yeah, I think usually their financial goals is I got to pay my car payment at the end of this week.
That's
or I got to pay my, my mortgage payment's coming up. I got to make sure that comes in. And that's if you're only thinking of the month-to-month goals, then you're only going to achieve the month-to-month goals. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you think about, because that's going to become your reality. If you're only focused on the minimum, you're only going to get those minimum results. And that's why it's so important to have those goals posted on a regular basis, because it pushes you to go beyond that little bit that you're looking to do. However, everything's a little bit different. When I was growing up, things were a lot less expensive. I got, when I got my first car, a gallon of gas was like 99 cents. I used to go get, over here in San Diego, we got taco shops, and we used to get, a whole meal for like $4. In today's economy, it's just ridiculously expensive. I bought my first house when I was 20 years old. I don't know how many 20-year-olds today are being able to buy a house. So the economy's shifted. We're facing unique challenges as just people, entrepreneurs, even more so. How do you help them stay on course financially through these economic downturns?
Well, again, it's all about communications. We've got to find out what, not everybody's downturn is your downturn. Let's talk about that.
Very true.
If I'm creating an AI business right now, that might not be, I might not be experiencing a downturn. I might be booming.
Yeah.
And so forth. But there are downturns. If I have a retail restaurant, I might have a downturn because suddenly my food is not as people friendly as it used to be, because the Italian restaurant right down the street is stealing people from me. And I've got to do something about it and maybe invest in marketing. So let's find out what's important to you. Let's find out how we're going to make this money grow for you. It's you. It's about you and how we get this to grow and expand out. And what does this look like? Get a vision of what this growth and what this success looks like. For instance, I had a guy say to me who had $2 million in his checking account. I said, why do you have $2 million in your checking account? He said, because when I grew up poor, I promised myself that one day I would have $2 million in my checking account and I would retire when I hit that number. So as soon as I did, I retired. He had a goal. I said, why don't we invest it? He said, no, I must keep $2 million in my checking account at all times, because then I know I'm making money.
That's and it's unique that way. It's funny because when you talk to a financial planner or anybody who's actually dealing in the numbers, they're gonna think that guy's crazy. That money's sitting there doing nothing but dying because it's sitting in a savings account. It's not accruing any nice interest. It's doing nothing. But mentally speaking, this is exactly what that person wanted to achieve. They wanted it. They set that goal for that 2 million. They hit that 2 million, and now they're living in a comfort level where, it's not really about the 2 million. It was the acquisition of that and the skill set that you learned to get to that point and the mindset you have now that you have it, the security feeling. There's a lot more that goes into a financial plan than just the numbers. Am I off?
Yeah, you brought up a great word, emotions. Look, we're humans. We're not lions trying to kill a zebra. We're humans. So, we wake up every day and we are, in our own way, emotional basket cases. I mean, we just are. I mean, the old joke is, I'm Jewish and Jews don't believe in hell. We believe in heaven. And I joke around and say, how can you not believe in hell? I say, because this is probably hell. We just don't know it.
We're already here.
We just don't know. We are emotional. If you're married, you go home every day and it's an emotional roller coaster of your life. If you have kids, especially teenagers, they're going through emotional swings that you've forgotten what that was like. Your friends have emotional issues. Your parents have emotional issues. Maybe your parents are aging and like, wow, I noticed something different about mom. This is really upsetting. There's an emotional issue there. So we've got to, you can't control your emotions, but you can work on how you deal with them. And that's the key. Same thing with your spouse. You can't change whether your spouse is upset, but you can change how you're going to deal with her being upset. And that's what I've done. I've worked hard on that. And I'm divorced, so it's not a perfect system out there.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say you can't change your spouse. I was like, well, I don't know. That one you kind of can do there.
Well, I'm not sure you can't change it because I keep being told that my wife's trying to change me every day, one day at a time.
I didn't mean like your wife is trying to change you. I mean like swap you out. Like that you definitely can do at some point.
Well, you can but probably in a different state or at least a different country.
Yeah, for real. It'll cost you a little too much if you end up doing it in the state of California. That's for sure.
But you've got to figure out how to get your arms around the emotion, and you also got to figure out what does it feel like to succeed. What does success look like, and what will it feel like? And if you can get your arms around that you can help create a future emotion by being focused on the end result.
And at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for. It's that end result. And it only comes with proper planning so that you can set yourself up with a map or a guide to help you get there and then take the necessary steps. One of my mentors, Billy Jean, he says, there's no such thing as $1 million idea, only $1 million execution. And so you might think about that problem and analyze it however you want, but until you have a plan in motion and you execute that plan, nothing's going to happen. And speaking of execution, if people want to reach out to you, Elliot, and find out more about what you do, how you can help them so they can set up a financial plan for themselves, a roadmap so they can reach the results they're looking for, how can they do that?
Oh, great. Let me give you my email address. It's Elliot, ELLIOT, @prosperityfinancialgroup.com. And I'm on the West Coast. So my cell, I'll give you my cell, 510-206-1103. I work with business owners, primarily entrepreneurs. I have a unique niche in them because starting multiple companies and now I'm starting a 6th company on the side. I just love this and I can talk the talk. That's the key. I'm walking the walk and talking the talk. That's my New York phrase, talk the talk. But I'm doing that so people like that because they know that he understands receivables, payables, employee problems, lawsuits. He gets it. He's been there. He's done that. Walk me through it.
That's it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, look, at the end of the day, if you're an entrepreneur, there are a lot of things that are piled up on your plate, and you need to find professionals to help you clear those plates and level the playing field so you get more of the time that you wanted. You got into business because you wanted more time, not so it could suck up all your day and then still struggle to have too much month at the end of your money. If you need help getting yourself situated, I highly suggest you find yourself a mentor or a coach. And Elliot here and his team are definitely some people you can look out for. Go to prosperityfinancialgroup.com. Send them an email, Elliot @prosperityfinancialgroup.com. Have a conversation and let's get yourself squared away so that you have a plan for the future so that you're actually paying yourself first and you can get the results that you're looking for. Elliot, any final thoughts before we head out?
Yeah, do it now. Inaction is not a plan.
So true. So true. And hope is not a strategy, ladies and gentlemen. Hope is not a strategy. You got to actually put it down there. Elliot, thank you very much for being on the program, ladies and gentlemen. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. And we're out.
It's over. Go home.
Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast. But not just any podcast, podcasts like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz to get started today.